Hour number 2 of Wake Up Barstool starts now, and I'm very excited, okay? We were just talking in the break. A lot of Super Bowl talk, a lot of Darnold talk. It's time to turn the page. It's time to start to look forward to the next part of the NFL season, which is the draft, okay? And who better to have on than the draft legend, Todd McShay, host of the McShay Show, now on Netflix. Huge congrats, Todd. I was watching the episode this morning. Production's value is fantastic. Insight, fantastic. What's going on, man? How are we doing today?
Good, man. I was really good this morning, and then I got to be honest, I'm having a hard time getting past the Jerry with the socks on the beach. Yeah. I appreciate your honesty, man, but like I don't know. There's something about like rolling up on you at the beach just to say hi, and you looking down, you got some like white socks on in the sand.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the perks of having the socks. Your feet don't get hot. But you don't get burnt.
But haven't you ever heard of toes in the sand?
Yeah, just not with it.
It's one of the best feelings.
Hey, listen, I've heard it is. It's not for me.
Okay, because we have to talk to Todd, but I got one more question.
Yes.
When you take him off to get in the water, do you leave them at the water's edge?
No. I walk back. I do.
Okay. So you can overcome your fears for the 100 yards.
But then do you clean them off and put them back
100%. Yeah, all that chunky sand down your toes is disgusting.
That's crazy. Dude.
You should just never go to a beach again.
I don't go to beaches really, unless I'm like Colombia or something.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. So I was watching the episode and a lot of great breakdowns from Mock 2.0. Let's start with kind of the most obvious, and that is Fernando Mendoza. I don't break down the draft in depth every single year. I don't scout guys in depth every single year. I see a guy like Mendoza seemingly checks all the boxes. Giant white guy, super high character, just won the national championship. You are maybe not like as fully sold on him being one of these surefire guys as I appear to be.
It's a tricky spot to be in, right? Because I think he's a damn good quarterback. Like, I really do. I think he does check a lot of the boxes. I actually, in the summer, said coming out of Cal, this is a guy who could wind up being in the first round. And he exceeded expectations in his first year with Kurt Cignetti and that staff. He's tall at 6'5". He's 220 pounds. He's mobile. He's got energy on his throws. And he's really smart, like in his dedication to the game and the way he processes things. They're all outstanding. But then you kind of go back and you stack them. Okay, talent-wise, is he Caleb Williams? Is he Jaden Daniels? Is he Drake May? And the answer is no. And even Cam Ward, I think Mendoza can win more games as a rookie than Cam if in the same circumstances. But I think the ceiling's a lot higher for Cam. So, we're talking about the number 1 overall pick. So I don't want this to be. I feel like I was first to market on Mendoza. I love the guy. I'm just saying I'm having conversations in the league with teams that maybe don't need a quarterback or aren't projected to take one, and they're just asking honest questions like, is he a guy or is he the guy? And so when I turn on every show, when I see things, read on social media, and it's like, he's absolutely the number 1 overall pick, and he's going to be. But I also hear like, surefire, he's a lock. And I don't know that he's that. I think he's going to be a really, really good quarterback. And I think the circumstances, and whether it's, Las Vegas, and I think that's where it's projecting. But I do have this question, right? You've got Tom Brady, who went on a campaign last year about how bringing a rookie in, they're just not developed. They need time. He's going to make it his kind of mission post-career to try to emulate the way he thinks a quarterback should be developed as a youngster. You've got a new coach in Kubiak who comes in, who's a really good offensive mind, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at this with Ashton Jeanty at running back. You need offensive line help. You need defensive help. You need more. You need all these things. What if the Jets, with the multiple first rounders and additional picks from the moves they've made next year, what if they come to him and say, what, we want him? Do the Raiders start to ask themselves, with John Spytek, the GM, and Brady in his role, and with Kubiak as the head coach now, maybe are we better off passing this year, move back, get an additional pick next year, get ourselves in position for an Arch Manning, a Dante Moore, a Lenora Sellers, or a Brandon Sorsby, or all those guys. Maybe the best quarterback draft we ever have a year from now. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying that it's the wrong decision to take him. I think they're going to take him. I think it's probably a smart decision. Take a hack, right? But I'm not convinced, and you talk to people in the league, and they're not convinced that he's one of those guys that we're talking about.
That's very interesting to me. Again, just because, like, I guess I just assumed that he was. And I think what else I found very interesting is a lot of the insight and takes on this year's draft strategy seem to be in direct relation to next year's draft, where it's maybe not just quarterback across the board. You seem to think that there's going to be more talent at a lot of the premier positions in the NFL. Even saying that somebody should be in the loony bin if you give up 27 capital for the 26th draft. So are you expecting a pretty static round one? Like later in the draft, sure, trades that could happen, whatever.
Yeah,
like
round one, especially early. I don't see. There's enough offensive tackles, right? There's enough edge rushers. There's a lot of good wide receivers. The positions that teams are typically valuing and targeting the most in the first round, there's enough of those guys in rounds 2 and rounds 3 this year, right? And later in round 1. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that would like to trade back. It's also a weird year in that, typically at the top of the draft, it's quarterbacks, edge rushers, offensive tackles. Those are the majority of like the top 10 picks most years. This year, the best players are an off-the-ball linebacker, an Arvell Reese, who could be an edge, but he's not. That's not what he played. He played sparingly in certain situations last year. A running back in Jeremiah Love, who a lot of teams have as a number 1 prospect in this class, highest grade.
Damn.
You've got another off-the-ball linebacker in Sonny Styles from Ohio State as well. You've got a safety in Caleb Downs, another Ohio State guy. So we're talking about safety, linebacker, running back. These are not the premium positions. So it's going to be interesting to see where those talents fall, but more interesting to see, is anyone going to be wanting to trade up for those guys? I think the answer is probably going to be no in the top 10.
Do you think anyone has to trade up to get Jeremiah Love? Like, will the Chiefs have to move up from their spot to get ahead of the Saints? Is there any kind of discussion about where exactly he falls? And what do you think the best spot for him is?
I mean, I'd love to see him with the Chiefs, but I also, I'm a huge Tyler Shuck fan. Mm-hmm. I was a huge proponent of him last year in the draft. And to see the way he played this year down the stretch, to think about a Jeremiah Love with him in the backfield with Alvin Kamara, that 30-year-old age thing is no joke. History tells us, and we're already starting to see some of that decline. So I think that's the sweet spot for Love. Arizona needs a running back, but they need a lot of other things, and I don't think at number 3 overall that Jeremiah Love's going to go there. Then I think you get down to 8 and 9 is where the most likely 2 spots for Jeremiah Love. But I also it's one thing to draft a running back at 9. It's another thing to give up capital to go move up to get him.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a 2nd round pick or a 2nd this year and a 4th next year or something like that. I'm not doing it. There's enough good players. And then the Chiefs, let's be honest. Chiefs have enough needs. They need an edge rusher. They need some offensive line help. They need another receiver that they can actually rely on. So I don't think that they're going to be giving up capital to go up in a couple spots to go get a running back.
Todd, you mentioned wide receivers a minute ago. Chris Brazzell is a guy who everything about him would seemingly indicate size, speed, production. This probably a first-round guy. But he played for Josh Heupel at Tennessee, whose receivers haven't quite developed in the NFL the way that you would hope. Is there a perception out there that hurts a guy like Brazzell, who is probably the best one Tennessee has had, but do GMs talk about that, like Heupel's offense, and when it comes to drafting a receiver that high?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more nuanced than just the helmet, right? I think it's what routes are they asked to run? What are their responsibilities? Are they NFL ready when they come in? Those sort of questions. And it's not just Heupel's receivers. It's a lot of different, Ohio State quarterbacks for a long time. There's definitely talk of that. I'm not going to lie. When you're hanging out with guys, and whether it's at the Combine or the Senior Bowl or having conversations, there's some discussion of that. Brazzell's interesting. I actually just finished his tape yesterday. He's 6'5". He's kind of lean at 200 pounds. What's different about him is he's actually like really fluid and athletic. He can get in and out of his breaks. Like 75% of his receiving yards production came against zone. He's son of an NFL receiver, not a great one, but certainly like a guy who's been in it and could help with his son to teach kind of some of the little things about the position. And the big knock on Brazzell this, 2024 coming into 2025 was the ball skills. Well, he only had 2 drops, and I went back and watched him yesterday. One was just a focus drop on a quick slant. The other one was he kind of got it was a contested. He thought he was going to be interfered, and he dropped it against Arkansas. The rest of the year, he caught the ball pretty damn well. I mean, guys at 6'5" don't move like him and don't adjust to the ball and have the ability to attack it in the air. I don't need 8, 9, 10 catches from him a game. I need 3 or 4 at 17 yards per catch. Mm-hmm. And now I've got a guy who can not only provide those chunk plays, but also strike some fear in the secondary. So Brazzell's, this year's coming into the year, I thought this class was going to be okay at receiver. Now all of a sudden, Carnell Tate, when he was healthy, like Devonte Adams wasn't Devonte Adams coming out of Fresno State. I see a lot of Devonte Adams in Carnell Tate coming out of Ohio State. Lemon from Mekhi Lemon from USC is an absolute just baller. Contested catches, tough guy. Everything he does is on a rail. Body control is outstanding. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think everyone can chill a little bit with the Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think he's going to be a really good starter. I think Jordan Tyson, if he can stay healthy, might be the second best receiver in this class. Denzel Boston, big power forward at wide receivers, an ex-wide receiver on the perimeter. Then you've got Brazzell. You've got Zachariah Branch, who's not just a gimmick guy like you saw at Georgia. Go back to the USC tape. He can run all the routes and do all the things. I think he's going to be an impact player. KC Concepcion from Texas A&M, run after catch, return ability. There's a lot of dude. Oh, Malachi Fields.
Oh, there you go.
I'm telling you. Didn't get a ton of targets at Notre Dame. That's typically just how it goes for receivers in that program. But watching him at the Senior Bowl, and I just watched his tape yesterday after watching Brazzell, and suddenness, 6'4", 218, contested, adjusting to the ball. Those are 7, 8 guys that I just listed that honestly I think all deserve to have grades in the top 40 in this year's class.
Damn. Jer, what you got?
Yeah, Todd, I got a question. Draft in Pittsburgh, Steelers, most picks in the draft. Are you talking about teams moving back possibly? Could you see the Steelers making a big trade up and drafting a quarterback?
Who would it be for is my question, right? What do they pick at 20? Is it 21 again?
Yeah.
I feel like they pick a 21 every year.
Yeah.
And that was like the spot that the Browns picked where they had was it Johnny Manziel and Brady Quinn? Like it's not for some reason, and they had 21 with Trubisky, right? Anyway, Ty Simpson's a really good quarterback. Through 9 games last year in the college season, I thought he was the best quarterback in the country. Injuries started to pile up. They had like 126 rushing attack in the FBS. I think Brent Venables figured out how to beat their protections, and everyone after that started to kind of utilize a similar pass rushing plan. I think as the draft gets closer, he could start to rise, but I think the earliest he could come off the board is 13 to the Rams if they're trying to kind of look ahead. I think he could very well be sitting there at 21, and they'll have a decision to make. Is he the answer? I like him a lot. I'm on the high side with Ty Simpson. The other guy, too, to keep an eye on, and I begged him at the time, publicly, not in person, Trinidad Chambliss, who's mired in this situation, let's call it, with Ole Miss. And everyone at Ole Miss is begging him to come back and giving him all the resources to fight the NCAA, who's denied now 2 or 3 times his request for an additional year. He now has a lawsuit in the state of Mississippi. He's trying to sue the NCAA to get 1 more year of eligibility. The reason I begged him not to do this is the lawyers want his money. The school wants him back. Who's looking out for Trinidad? And 2 out of every 3 times a case like this comes up, the NCAA wins, right? And so Now he's missed the Senior Bowl, which would have been a great opportunity for him as a Ferris State Division II transfer to Ole Miss, wasn't supposed to be the starter, takes over early in the season, has an unbelievable season, gets better each week, had the meltdown in the fourth quarter against Georgia, then makes up for it with an unbelievable fourth quarter against Georgia in the college or later in the season. So, and became more creative and dynamic. And I think Trinidad's a guy, I'm not saying first round, but like in the second round as a developmental guy, maybe a year down the road, that could be somebody. And so, but now he's not invited to the combine because he's not technically part of this NFL draft yet. So all of a sudden he may wake up one day in March and get an answer from the court system, and he's not a part of this draft, or he is a part of this draft. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't been to the Senior Bowl. He hasn't been preparing for the draft. He's not ready for all the interviews, the private workouts, all those things. Didn't go to the combine. He's put himself in a very tricky spot, and I think it's because he's got a lot of people around him who are trying to A, capitalize on him, B, get him back to Ole Miss where he's getting all the backing and support right now.
Todd, what about this? This is not moving away from the draft because it's kind of be part and parcel with the team accomplishing this. But if we look at this last Super Bowl, longest odds Super Bowl we've ever had, right? The Patriots were 60-1, Seattle might have been 40-1. Who do you believe when you look now at the entire franchise, where they've got draft picks, where the offseason could go, who do you think is best poised to make a Seattle or New England type jump?
I would have said New England has a chance to go to the playoffs, but not to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
I don't look like at this. Like the Raiders know, the Jets know, the Cardinals know. The Titans are the Titans and Giants. If you're just going down the draft order, the first two where you're like, they could get in the playoffs. There's a path, new coaching staffs, fresh start, young quarterbacks, second year. Those are the two that I look at. Super Bowl, no. But I wouldn't, depending on the offseason, how it goes, I could see momentum building. Now, with the Giants, it's all about can the quarterback and the running back stay healthy with the way they play the game. They're talented enough. We saw that in flashes. But Dart, who I had the second best quarterback last year, I really think there's something special there if he develops. But it wasn't like what he did last year to have success is not sustainable, right? Cam Ward is the fascinating part is, and I've talked to Brian Daboll, everyone, they love the Giants. Daboll loved Jackson Dart, not everyone in the organization, but they wanted to go up and get Cam Ward. The Browns wanted to go up and get Cam Ward. Now Daboll, who wanted to develop Dart because he just absolutely loves the young man and sees the same thing I see in him, now he gets an opportunity to go work with Cam Ward, right? Which is what the organization was. That was priority one, and then two was when they couldn't get Ward and Tennessee wouldn't come off that spot. Let's go get Dart. I'm interested to see Daboll with Cam Ward and what they can do. The supporting cast obviously has to be better. The defense is going to be better with those two coaches, right? I don't know. Tennessee's mildly intriguing. And then I look down, everyone's going to say the Chiefs are picking in the top 10. What about the Bengals if Burrow stays healthy?
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest
with those receivers.
Yeah.
That it is, but I'm saying if you're looking for a team drafting in the top 10 that could make a playoff run, Cincinnati's a team that I would kind of organizationally it's a lot to process. But when you have that quarterback with those receivers, another year of drafting, bringing some defensive help, it wouldn't shock me if they were in the mix.
Look, guys, nobody has better insight. Nobody has better blue eyes than our guy Todd McShay.
Would you cut it out, man?
I'm being serious, man. I'm just arrested by them every time we have you on. But hey, Todd, thank you so much for real. Everybody go watch on Netflix, okay? You want to go check out a full in-depth discussion. The Mock 2.0 is out. It's only going to continue. The McShay Show on Netflix. It's awesome. Todd, thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd.